Este video es para enseñarles los números grandes del 1 al 10, ya se lo deben de saber. Entonces vamos a empezar por los 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Y ahora le vamos a enseñar los números 100, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. Y ahora los miles: 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000, 6000, 7000, 8000, 9000 y 10000.
Pause it. Yeah, you can.
You can't? It stopped and it saved the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, what do I say?
So now we're gonna keep it.
Can we edit that out?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so now we're going to do a Q-Fu. And first we'll start with the white string. The white string is the address. So at the top, there are 2 double knots. 2 double knots represent 2000. After that, we have a spiral. This spiral has 5 spirals on it. That represents the hundreds. So the spiral is 500. Now there are 6 loops. Each loop represents 10. So that's 60. And at the very bottom, there's a single knot, and that represents 1. So this whole address is 2,561. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it.
500.
How do you say 500?
500.
500?
500. Yeah.
Well, you don't say it.
No, he does.
Why? Well, he's got good pronunciation.
I know, but just do it. Video's running.
That's why it's easier. I don't know how to say it. Dos mil. 500. 60. Y uno.
Yeah.
So 2 mil is 2,000 is dos mil. 500 is 500. 6 tens or 60 is 60. And 1 1 is uno. So 2,000, 500, 60 y uno. And now we have the green string. The green string is the phone number. The first part of the phone number has 5 spirals on it. That represents 500. After that, there are 4 loops. The 4 loops represent 40. And then 2 single knots, which represents 2. So the first 3 digits of the phone number is 542. 542. 542. Okay. Okay, so 542 is 542. For the last 4 digits of the phone number, there's 3 double knots, which represent 3,000, and then a spiral that has 4 spirals on it, which represents 400, 3 loops that represent 30, and 4 single knots that represent 4. So that number is 3,434.
Phone number 2 digit.
No, phone number has 7 digits.
Right, but especially
No, she said when we're doing this, she wants it. I asked her. She wants it in a 3 and then 1,000.
Okay,
Yeah, because remember when we write it down or we say it 3 and then
yeah,
or
okay,
1 1 1
sure.
2 2. Okay, so yeah. How do you say 400? Okay. So this number was 3,434. 3,434. So the next string we have is, yours will be black, but this one is gray. It's going to be our special date. When you do your special date, remember there's two different strings. One string that's tied together is going to represent the month and then the day, and the second string will represent the year. So for the first one, there are 3 single knots, which represent the month, and that would be trace. And then there's 1 single knot, or 1 single loop, and 3 knots, which would represent 13. That's trace. So then that date would be March 13th. And then the year is going to be 2 double knots, which represent 2000. And then there's a big space. Remember, the big space means that there's nothing on those, so there are no knots in that spot. And at the end, for the year, there's 10. So that year is 2010, which would be 2010. So for that special date, it was March 13th, 2010. For our last one, it's a blue string, and that's going to be our birthday. Remember, it's the same thing as for the special date, so there's 2 separate strings. For the month, there's a single loop and a single knot, which would represent 11. And then for the day, there's also a single loop and a single knot, which would also represent 11. So that's going to be November 11th. For the year, there's 1 single double knot, a spiral with 9 spirals on it, 9 loops, and no ones. So that year is going to be 1990, and that's 1990. 1990.
Yeah.
That's going to take a